I'm Jerome Lanier, lead agent with WFG Homes. So, marry the house, date the rate. Let's talk about that statement. Number one, marry the house. What you're being advised is to find the home that you like and move forward with that home no matter what the interest rate is. Because if that is the home that you want and that is the right one for you, you should go after it. Now, the date the rate part. You can refinance your mortgage rate after a certain period of time. Always speak with your lender to understand what your refinance options are, or you can speak to a real estate agent such as myself, and I can get you in contact with the lender to talk about what your refinance options are. But what you want to take into consideration is what is that payment going to look like that you're walking into initially. There is always a hope that in 1 year, 2 years, the interest rate will be better and I can refinance into a better rate. But that is not an absolute guarantee. So if you bought a home, let's say in the back end of 2022, you would have been getting an interest rate somewhere around maybe 7%, right? Right now, as I sit here, we are somewhere around 6.5%, maybe a little bit lower than 6.5%. So if you did buy a home with the hopes of, I'm going to marry the house and date the rate has changed by 0.5%. And 0.5% on a $300,000 loan is maybe about $125 a month. Now, don't get me wrong, $125 a month is a decent amount of money, and it definitely compounds over 12 months. But the thing to keep in mind is that if you took a mortgage that was maybe $500 more than what you were comfortably able to afford, $125 is just a drop in the bucket. So when we talk about that whole premise of marry the house, date the rate, you really have to take a look at your financial situation and figure out if it makes sense for you to move forward with this mortgage payment at the dollar amount that it is without knowing exactly when you will be able to get this mortgage payment to a better number. This is the main thing that people need to take into consideration when they're taking a look at a home and they're pricing out what they are willing to pay, right? I think that potential is an absolutely awesome thing. And I think it's also very dangerous to live off of potential. So just know where your mortgage interest rate is, know what payment you can afford. Do I think marrying the house and dating the rate works in certain situations? Absolutely, I do. And again, I think it depends on your situation. Does it make sense for you? Asking a real estate agent if you should buy a house is like asking a barber if you need a haircut. The answer is yes. So the question is always going to be, is it right for you at this time? And so these are the things that when we talk about marry the house, date the rate, you want to take a look at. Now, interest rate. Mortgage interest rate is going to be driven by a few things. Number one, inflation. Inflation is going to shift how the Federal Reserve moves in terms of their policies. Now, the Federal Reserve does not set the mortgage interest rate, but the Federal Reserve does set the central bank rate, which is what kind of determines interest rates across the boards for car payments, personal loans, credit cards, things of that nature. Now, if you see the central bank rate going up, more than likely the mortgage interest rate is going to go up a bit. And if you see the central bank rate going down, that is also going to have a positive impact on mortgage rates, and you will see that rate go down. What drives mortgage rates more than anything, though, is the 10-year Treasury yield. So the 10-year Treasury yield and mortgage rates are kind of tied together on a string. In times of economic uncertainty, the Treasury yield actually does better. More people buy into the yield goes down, and the mortgage interest rate goes down. Now, when things are strong in the economy, Treasury yield typically goes up, and which makes mortgage rates go up. So if you wanted to look at anything to kind of have an indicator of where mortgage rates are going to go, you want to look at the 10-year Treasury yield. That's going to tell you a lot about where mortgage rates could potentially be going. Now, again, mortgage interest rates do like economic uncertainty. They like a little bit of chaos. So when things get a little wonky, that is when mortgage interest rates are typically going to be a little bit better. There's a lot of layers to that, and there's a lot of things involved with that. That's why it's always going to be best to speak with a mortgage professional, as well as a real estate agent such as myself, to talk about what's happening with the market, to talk about where things are with mortgage interest rates. And then also, I cannot state this enough, look at your financial situation and make the best move for you based on where you are right now. You cannot make all of your moves, especially not business moves and especially not real estate investments, strictly off of potential. Could the mortgage rate potentially go down? Absolutely. Could the mortgage rate potentially go up? Absolutely. So it's always best to look at where the market is right now and consider what makes sense for you. So should you marry the house? If it is the house you love, absolutely marry the house. Should you date the rate? That part is a bit of a question. It is going to depend on your independent situation and what makes sense for you. The best thing to do is to reach out to a real estate agent such as myself or a qualified mortgage lender, which I can refer you to, who will ultimately help you make a very informed decision using all the information around you so that we get you into the right position. All right, I hope this was helpful. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button. Make sure other people know. I want to continue getting the word out about things that I think are important for people to know when it comes to real estate investments, whether it be your first time home or whether it be your fifth commercial property that you are adding into your portfolio. My name is Jerome Lanier, lead agent with WFG Homes, and I hope you have an amazing day.